I'm actually surprised. There was a lot more material here than I thought. In October of 2012, NVIDIA released G-Sync, and as an early adopter to tech, I bought a G-Sync enabled screen with the fancy new G-Sync module. That was the first time where my trusty box of spare wires failed me. The lesson that I learned with this new tech was to pay closer attention and choose the right wire for the job. Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. As a fan of gaming, tech, and sim, I have a lot of experience and information that I would like to share with you. To get the most out of your gaming experience, we have feel, sight, and sound. For these three, we want to eliminate the lag and latency in the system, but today we're going to focus only on the factors having to do with display, or C. I will tell you all I know about getting the screens to run at the highest frame rates with the best visual possible. At the end of the video, if you've learned something, can you please take 20 seconds and link this video to a friend? We begin. It was with the release of HDMI standard in 2003 and its broader adoption, which somewhat blurred the lines between a computer screen and a TV. With HDMI, we had finally switched from analog signal to digital signals for our televisions. Gamers still could rely on DVI, which was a digital alternative to VGA and Super VGA up until DisplayPort became the new standard as early as 2009. Both DisplayPort and HDMI work generally the same way, as they are both digital carriers that conform to a general standard, and for this video I'm going to limit the discussion only between these two, and I might briefly talk about Thunderbolt. These digital standards are rated in bandwidth, calculated in gigabytes of data per second. In general, the DisplayPort standard was more capable with much greater bandwidth sooner, so if you're not achieving the performance you're expecting, you should first make sure that you use the DisplayPort on your graphics card. Even if you're using a TV that has HDMI, you should always try to connect to a DisplayPort on the graphics card. It's possible to buy a wire that converts for you by having one DisplayPort plug and one HDMI plug on the other side without using converters. Having fewer boxes, junctions, and converters will result in better results. So, in applications where you have selected to use a TV, you should work to get the highest rated wires possible or available. Remember that new hardware, regardless of DisplayPort or HDMI, will have the support for the newest port standards. Plugging the newest DisplayPort 2.1 rated wire into an NVIDIA 1070 graphics card from 2016 will only operate at 1.4 standards because that was the standard that the hardware released with. That's not to say that you should purposely use the older standard of wire, just that your newer standard wire may not automatically improve the performance. It may, however, fix the next topic, which is cable length. If you remember only one thing from this video, this is the part that you need to pay attention to. Choosing higher resolution requires more bandwidth. Choosing higher refresh rate requires more bandwidth. And choosing a longer wire or choosing too long of a wire may gray out certain resolutions or refresh rate options. I will explain. If you have a 4K 240Hz top spec gaming monitor, using the DisplayPort 2.1 wire that came included with your screen, it's very likely that you're going to see all of those options available in NVIDIA Control Panel or in Radeon Adrenalin. These wires are usually less than 2 meters in length. So let's say that you plan to run the same screen further away from the PC. Perhaps you have a desk and a sim rig and you want to use them both on the same PC. If you choose a long wire or accidentally buy a less capable wire standard, it will likely limit what resolutions and refresh rate options you have available, or even prevent the hardware from entering G-Sync or FreeSync. So how can you be sure that you're getting what you want? Amazon is full of choices, but unfortunately, in my experience, not all companies seem to test the same. Over the years, my box of spare wires has become larger because I bought a wire from brand X or brand Y, and it failed to perform despite being reviewed well. For DisplayPort, the only brand that has consistently worked is Silkland. And this isn't a commercial or a promo for that company, it's information based on experience. I recently upgraded my triple screens from 3 1080p 60 to 3 4K at 240 OLED. Based on my past experience, I knew that I wanted to keep the wires as short as possible and that I needed to get quality if I had any hope of maxing out the performance on those monitors. Silkland has more granularity in the available lengths, so instead of just 3, 6, and 16 foot, they also have 10 and 20. Their DisplayPort 2.1 wires are rated all the way to 480 Hz at 4K at longer lengths. So now that I've switched to this brand, I've never seen any video options grayed out. If you know that you have a 120 Hz monitor and that you only see 60 or 90 Hz as options, it's probably your choice in wire. On this example, I was able to run 3 identical 10-foot long wires from my left, middle, and right screens. Configuration worked the first time in NVIDIA Control Panel, and I see the super bright and super dark performance with liquid smooth frames that I paid for. On the smaller motion system, it's a little bit different. That has a Radeon 7900 XT driving triple 2K at 120, but the card has 2 DisplayPort, 1 HDMI, and 1 Thunderbolt 4 port. But in this case, you should always try to choose the Thunderbolt 4 port, which looks like a USB Type-C, over the HDMI. Thunderbolt will provide similar results to DisplayPort, and I chose to get a single 3-foot long Thunderbolt to DisplayPort for the middle screen, and I ended up running a 6-foot DisplayPort 2.1 to the left and the right screens. Again, this company, Silkland, unlocked settings that I was expecting. Radeon Adrenalin was able to merge all of these screens with Eyefinity at 222K at 120 Hz. So the takeaway for this entire video can be summarized like this. Choose the shortest wire that you need for the application. Choose the best standard or rating to provide the most bandwidth possible for your digital video signal. If you have a choice between DisplayPort and HDMI, choose DisplayPort. If you have the choice between Thunderbolt and HDMI, choose Thunderbolt. If your screen is a TV with HDMI, choose a DisplayPort to HDMI wire. Avoid converters. Consider 2 other factors, which are keeping the wire short and getting the wire that's rated the best. Be very wary of fake reviews on Amazon, or simply look for the company that I've had success with, which is Silkland. Again, not sponsored at all. I just want you to not have to stockpile a bunch of useless wires in a box somewhere in your house, searching for something that works. And that's it. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Drive safe.